Here we go. Yeah, man. So it's rock and roll. So I'm going to start recording and just do a bit of an intro. So yeah, I just really want to take
Okay.
this time and moment of gratitude towards Zark. I met Zark a couple of years ago. I think it was our mutual friend Sol Orwell of the Toronto Mafia that
Hmm.
did the introduction, and then we're obviously in a similar space and transitioning from what was before to what is now, and just have a massive amount of respect for what Zark is doing with the live experience and just up-leveling humans from across the globe. And he came down to New Zealand last year and he enjoyed our beautiful country. I thought it would just, as I said, this evolved conversation is all about just reaching out to people and having a conversation right now with the people that support each other. And I think at a time with this crisis, people are coming together. So, yeah, welcome, Zark, and thanks for making the time from your place in Costa Rica. I know we had a few technical difficulties, so this is not coming to
Yeah.
people live,
Yeah.
but here we go.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thanks for asking me to join you for this conversation. And it's great to see you again, even though we're on other sides of the planet. You're actually in the future right now. It's Thursday there for you right now. Or no, it would be Friday there. Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
good, great to connect with you. And
I'm losing track of time as well. I thought it was Thursday, but when you're in
yeah,
self-isolation on day two, just
yeah,
you don't know where time goes. But
I know it's crazy.
just before we got on the call, you're saying that yeah, obviously in Costa Rica and living in a beach town and a tourist town, and all the tourists are gone, hotels are closed, and you told me
Yeah.
that beaches are closed, and obviously, mate, that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons you moved down there to be close to nature, and not being able to walk out your door and get on the beach must be bloody tough.
Absolutely. Yeah. When Prime Minister Trudeau called all Canadians home last week, I was like, I'm not going back to Canada. It's winter there right now. Like, I have the beach here, I've got the ocean, I could surf. And yeah, no, they closed the beaches a couple of days ago, and they're actually very serious about it. Like, there are cops ripping up and down the beach on ATVs, ticketing people. So if you're caught on the beach, you're getting a $200 ticket. And if you're a foreigner living here like I am, you have the chance, you run the risk of getting deported. So they're not messing around. So I'll be hanging out poolside with my dog until this all blows over.
And there's no way you want to get deported back to winter. Like I know you're enjoying living the summer all year round, man.
Yeah,
Part of a live experience is being able to travel
absolutely.
around the globe and experience this beautiful planet. So I don't
Yeah,
really want to focus too much on the past because people can find out
yeah.
what your past is. But what was that like tipping point about going right? I'm finished with, let's call it the life of before and in Toronto and
Sure.
going right. What was that tipping point?
Yeah, so for me, it was, I know the day very precisely, August 17th, 2014. And I know that date because it was my 40th birthday. So that was the day that I woke up and I was like, wow, I'm 40 today. How'd that happen? And I remember just feeling the sense of, I want to call it almost disappointment, almost a letdown, where I thought by 40 I'd be married with kids. I thought I'd be out of the nightlife industry, and I thought I'd be well on my way to financial freedom. And on that day, I realized that I was still single and lonely. I didn't love my career anymore. I really felt stuck, and I was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. So for me, it was that day, call it midlife crisis, call it the perfect storm, whatever it was, it had me realize like, okay, I need to change some things up if I want to change the trajectory of my life and my career. So for me, it was waking up at 40 and just realizing that my life wasn't going the way that I had hoped it would. And it was time to really take a hard look at who am I being, what am I doing, or what am I not doing, and it's time to get to work. So that was a turning point for me, hitting 40. And for some people, they have that pause, they have that moment of reflection and reevaluation when a business fails, or maybe their marriage fails, or they lose a loved one, or a global pandemic hits the planet and everything comes to a stop. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, well, now what do I do with my life? So for me, it was turning 40. And since then, it's been this beautiful journey of personal discovery and self-development. And now I live here in Costa Rica. You know, it's a very different reality. And I truly feel like I'm living my dream out here.
Yeah, man. And I'm vicariously living a dream through your feed of one, you've like turned into a massive photographer. You're like health and fitness and discovery and run epic trips around the world. So yeah, I take my hat off for making that pivot. And I know we'll talk about your program that you're creating, which I just
thank you.
The whole pivot to purpose, which we talked about before this call. And as you said, is like this time of isolation or forced isolation. What do you think that the universe is trying to give us a bit of a nudge right now? And it's I'm really grateful for this moment. A lot of people are shitting themselves, and I'm like, I'm really excited about this next 4 weeks of being still, because I have ADHD. It's freaking hard. So this is like a silent retreat for me, being locked in my door.
Yeah, I get that. So, so for me, I've been almost preparing for this. I've been almost been in training for a massive lockdown and global pause for the last couple of years. Because when I moved here by myself to this tiny little beach town of 5,000 people, where I've been pretty much self-isolated with just my dog for the last couple of years, because, you know, I have a handful of friends here, but for the most part, I'm at home working away every day by myself. So, it obviously has been a shift with tourism gone and a lot of the restaurants, bars, and beaches closed. So there's been an adjustment there. However, I've been really using this time, since I'm not hosting any trips anywhere in the immediate future. I've now had to ask myself, well, okay, well, now what do I do? How do I continue to serve? And how do I continue to add value to my community and people who are looking for personal transformation, even though I can't host these trips? And we'll talk about that in a moment. But to answer your question about what is the universe trying to tell us, I think the universe is trying to tell us to slow the F down. You know, soon as this all happened and everything got shut down, I actually felt a sense of relief. I felt a sense of, okay, wow, I can just like take my time. It was almost like this anxiousness that I had been experiencing every day had been removed, because I don't feel like I need to keep up with all my other successful entrepreneur friends who are doing a million things out there. I don't feel this pressure to fill the next 5 trips because the dates are coming up. It's just like, okay, no, everything stopped and there's this pause and we don't know when things are going to start up again. And while that may be very scary for some, you know, because I made this transition and because I simplified my life in many ways leading up to my move to Costa Rica, my cost of living is super low and I can get by on very modest income. So for me, thankfully, I'm not in a position where I'm freaking out at the moment. I am planning for what's next and how can I continue to serve and provide value to my community. And I'm still designing what that looks like. And as we talked about before, I have some programs that I'm working on that I think will be very valuable. And I think the universe is also telling us to, you know, giving us this time to reevaluate our priorities, reevaluate what's important to us, and to just appreciate what we have or what we did have that's been taken away, so that once things resume to whatever the new normal is, because I don't think normal is ever going to mean the same thing again, we'll go back to our day-to-day life with a different perspective, with a deeper appreciation and far more gratitude for the smallest things that we used to take for granted, like going to the beach, meeting friends for coffee, going to see a movie together. You know, it's when you have those simple luxuries removed, you immediately are present to how lucky we are and how much those simple freedoms mean to us.
Yeah, man. And man, there's so many words that keep on coming up in conversation, and the word service and as you said, and preparation and discovery, all these words that are popping up right now. But obviously you've been living for the last 2 years, and as you said, the whole preparation for this, like self-isolation down in Costa Rica, the preparation for now and the pivot that you actually made 2 years ago. So the kind of like you were living in the future for the last 2 years. we did know something like this was going to happen around the corner because the world was just going on a slippery slope.
Sure.
So, and I wasn't the best at gratitude, and this is a real time that it forces you to make a mental gratitude journal every morning. Because
absolutely,
both me and you have been, I actually just reached out to Kat Hope today from Hustle 2.0. Like we're all complaining about being stuck in our own homes with our family and the people that we love, or the dog that we love with your and what these prisoners at Hustle 2.0 and prisoners would die for right now to be at home. And I was like, just putting that in perspective and having a 30-minute conversation with Kat soon. So yeah, the whole deep sense of gratitude that we are getting taught right now is really powerful. And so why is discovery so important to you? Like obviously, that 40th, that moment back in 2014, discovery, why? Like we talk about it evolve and I suppose our ecosystem and friends are talking about this whole discovery. Why is it important?
Yeah. So to me, what discovery means is looking beyond your current paradigm. It means going beyond the existing perspective that you may have on who you are and what your world really is all about, and being bold enough to explore and discover what else life has to offer you. See, for me, when I turned 40 and I realized like it's time for change, I have been in entertainment and nightlife for over 25 years. So for me, I was like, well, what the hell am I going to do now? Like, this is what I've known. This is what I'm really good at. Like, where do I go from here? And it was through attending different events like Giovanni's Archangel, or going to different summits and forums where I was able to listen to some of the most brilliant minds on the planet share this knowledge and information that I might have not discovered had I not gone to an event like that, to connect with a community of people who are forward thinking, who are, progressive entrepreneurs, to listen to their story, to hear about the roller coaster entrepreneurial journey that they've been on. In that process of discovery, it allowed me to also discover who I am and what's important to me. And it inspired me to look within and get very clear on my values, on what's important to me, what impact do I want to create in the world, what difference do I want to make? Because having been a very successful entrepreneur in nightlife and entertainment and restaurants, it was fun, but it wasn't really truly fulfilling. At some point in time in my life, I was very proud and feeling fulfilled with what I accomplished. But then it was like, been there, done that. Now it's time for Zark 2.0. And what is it that I want to create from here? I love to use the metaphor of the second mountain. Like I climbed my first mountain, which was hospitality, entertainment, lifestyle, luxury cars, and all that fancy stuff. And then I got to the top of the mountain and realized there's another mountain out there that I really want to be on. And, I'm through the discovery process, I'm now climbing that second mountain, and it's such a beautiful journey that, I'm so grateful for what I do. And it's brought me to this beautiful place in life.
Yeah, man. I love the analogy of the whole mountain thing because again, like, the first chapter, and many of us talk about the 2.0 or the next chapter or the next hill. Obviously, my passion is around young people and how we get young people to think differently, because Gen Y is the entitled coming up. They expect all to be an influencer. Social media is their normal. When you're talking about mountains and you can generally only see one in front of you, and for these 15 to 18-year-olds that are now in self-isolation, there's parents at home with them, witnessing what happens in the 10-hour window. How do you broaden, how might you or we build discovery into our new normal right now in the next 4 weeks of isolation, which most countries are in? and words of wisdom to like 15 to 18-year-olds to see the whole mountain range, to pick the mountain to
Sure.
climb versus just thinking there's only one mountain, and then you get to the top and it's like, oh shit, there's a whole lot more in the Himalayas than just Everest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I think that globally, regardless what age you are, I think most people are really reevaluating what's important to them. Since they've had their simple, basic luxuries taken away, it really puts your world upside down. And I got to imagine that there are people out there who are asking themselves, well, like, what next? Where do I go from here? You know, there's some people who I'm sure are reconnecting to their family and their loved ones in a way that they haven't in many, many years, even decades. So I think people are going to get reconnected to not just their loved ones, but also reconnected to themselves as they question, well, you know, what is this all for? What am I here for? What's important to me? And I think a question that everyone should ask themselves, you know, especially the younger people, is what's my purpose? What impact do I want to create? You know, what difference do I want to make? You know, obviously, it's that younger generation. I don't know if they're considered Generation Z now or what generation they are. However, you know, there's this social conscious impact movement happening with the younger generation. And when we're dealing with a global pandemic like this, I think it's important for young people to question, you know, what difference would they like to make in the world? Who do they want to be? How do they want to make a change? You know, because it's young people who are really going to inherit our problems. They're going to inherit the damage that we've done during our lifetime, yet they're young enough to make better choices, and ultimately they can grow up into powerful adults with the intention of wanting to live on a better planet than we're currently experiencing right now. So I would say for the younger people, you know, question, what is it you're not okay with? What would you like to see change? And be the change that you'd like to see in the world.
And it all comes down to asking yourself better questions. If we like peel it all back, it's like, how do we ask ourselves more deep questions to peel back the onion layers? And yeah, man, it so much resonates right now. And yeah, for me, with wander and travel is such a massive part of my life and my DNA to have that taken away right now, and to be forced to go inside and forced to journal every day. Journaling was really hard for me, to be now forced to journal every day and do the discovery internally versus doing the discovery externally, which I was doing in chapter 1. Was all about, I was just booking travel to get away from myself and to come back and actually do that deep discovery and be forced to. So the questions that you've asked through your amazing Facebook, if anyone wants to discover themselves, just follow Zark's feed, and there's deep questions, webinars and everything, and it's my go-to when I need to. It's just the 4 a.m. get up in a couple of days time to do your workout. It might be a stretch. This time zone thing, when can the planet just be on one time zone? That would be that would be incredible for us Kiwis and Aussies down this part of the world. And I suppose for you, if you had like a magic wand that you'd like to see that comes out of this crisis, because no one's experienced it. I don't think our parents haven't experienced it. I don't think, it's interesting. So what would be the outcomes that you'd like to, if you had a magic wand and we come out the other side?
Yeah, I would love it that people shifted their perspective to not just how much profit can they make, but how much impact can they have. You know, I think that if every human did their part to be more responsible and take ownership for their own impact that they're having on the planet, the earth would be in a much better place. You know, contribution, giving back, even in the smallest way, makes such a massive difference. And I think if humanity was a little less, I don't want to say self-absorbed, but maybe a little bit more generous and concerned, like what's beautiful right now is there's a lot of compassion, there's a lot of concern, there's a lot of people who are reaching out to support one another. I guess if I had a magic wand, I would wish that we would all continue to treat each other like we are right now. We would continue this type of behavior, continue this type of support, the engagement, the conversations. Imagine if this is how the world was, where we were all spending more time checking in on one another. We were, you know, doing these beautiful random acts of kindness, not because we were scared we're going to die, but because we were hopeful for a better planet. You know, I think we'd be living in such a wonderful place. So yeah, that would be my magic wand wish, that we continue to live with this type of compassion and empathy, and, you know, be more human beings, not just human doings. You know, we be more human. Yeah.
That's powerful. It's like continue being who we are right now.
Yeah.
And I think flies in New Zealand have just gone into self-isolation as well. I've never had so many flies in my house. It's like beaming them around, doing a Mr. Miyagi. Where was I going with next with transitioning and people getting forced into transition? Like everyone was already talking about transition. Sarah, who we mutually know, well, Sarah's my beautiful partner. If you met Sarah, sorry to mind blank, there's another flight. Transition, she's gone back into banking, and a lot of people in the banking or finance sectors, or these jobs that are getting made redundant by automation and technology. So people already had a sense of fear that I could be losing my job to technology, robots, and everything else. Now it's literally put that on hyperspeed and force people to go, I don't have a job at the end of this, because it's an excuse for large corporations to go, great, we can just speed things up and automate. So it's forcing people into transition. So what would be your piece of advice as people getting forced, that they are in the fear state? So how do you move from a fear state or uncertainty to doing that discovery piece to go, you had a choice at 40 to go, I'm done with this, I'm ready for chapter 2. A lot of people right now don't have the choice, they're forced to.
That's a great question, because I do have the luxury of being nomadic now, so that I can work where I want, when I want. And it was through a series of getting screwed over from numerous landlords when I did own the restaurants, nightclubs, and bars that I made the decision that whatever business I got into next, I wanted to have the freedom to work when I wanted, where I wanted, with who I wanted, and not have a $50,000 a month overhead for labor and for rent. So, you know, I created this company almost to protect myself from a situation like this, where for whatever reason business may stop, but you still have to continue to cover your payroll and rent. So for those people who are now in a position where they don't know if their job is going to exist when they go back to work, or whenever things resume back to what was normal, it is a time to really consider, what is it that you would love to do that will provide you with the lifestyle that you truly want to live? And I think that's an important place to start, because often we pick a job or career based on how much money we can make. And obviously we all want to make a certain amount of money so we can enjoy a certain lifestyle. However, the trap most people get caught up in is they think they need to make a certain number. So they're working 40, 50, 70 hours a week to make that amount of money. but then even when they're making that kind of money, they don't even have the time to enjoy their life. So I think it's very important to think about what lifestyle do you want to live, because you may find that you can make half of what you were currently making and enjoy a better lifestyle. And I think with a lot of people sitting at home right now, spending more time with their kids, with their family, having more time to maybe draw or be creative or connect with friends, they're going to realize, I don't want to go back to working 60, 70 hours a week. I actually like having that freedom to work when I want, where I want. So I think if you are considering a pivot, if you're considering what to do next and your previous job no longer exists, I would start by thinking about what lifestyle is very important to you and work backwards from there. The next thing I would invite you to consider is what impact you want to make. What's important to you? Like, what is it that you're personally passionate about that you would love to pursue? I think, when you're tapped into your purpose and you are getting up every day knowing that what you're doing is making a difference for others, that fulfillment can often supersede the financial rewards, because when you really know that you're making a difference and you truly love what you do, I believe you'll excel at it. You'll be great. And the rewards, the financial compensation will be rewarded to you as you succeed at what you're doing. And if you're considering a new career and something completely different, I would invite you to consider, like, what are you an expert in? What are you so good at that even though it might not be job related to what you were previously doing, what are you an expert in that your friends would come to you for advice for because you're that good at it? And write down all the different things that you are an expert in, even if it had nothing to do with your old job, because you may see a list of really valuable qualities that you can apply to a completely different industry or a different job or profession that wasn't even in your scope before, because you only saw yourself doing this one thing. So when you think about lifestyle, you think about impact, you think about your expertise, and lastly, what are you really passionate about? What are some of your hobbies? What do you love so much that you would actually do it for free because you enjoy it that much? You know, when you can turn one of your hobbies and passions into a career, you know, the old, adage they say is when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And it's absolutely true. I mean, I know you can relate to this. You love to travel. You love to learn. You love to share experiences with people, as do I. What we do for work right now, or what we were doing a couple of weeks ago, never felt like work, because we got up every day. We're like, God, I get to plan the most epic trips with amazing people, eat great food, and go to like the most beautiful destinations in the world. That's pretty freaking awesome. So I think if you were at home right now and you were considering what the hell do I do next, ask yourself, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? What difference do you want to make? What are you an expert in? And what do you love doing that you would do it for free? If you can get clear on those four elements, I believe you have some really clear guidelines to start looking at, okay, well, what's next for me? And what does that open up as far as options for your next career?
Oh, mate, I absolutely love that, and thanks for sharing that. As I keep getting beams of light coming through my window, I'll go meditate after this. Who knows what will happen? Is the expertise sometimes is, and I know when I was transitioning, that was hard for me being the travel guy, and there's a bit of self-sabotage that comes into that. So a banker, let's just use the banker for an example, is like, I'm only good at banking. Like, I'm actually not an expert in anything. And Stephen Sisler, I think we're mutual friends with Stephen Sisler, is like a behavioral psychologist and gives some amazing insights into personality types. And he actually gave me the task of like sending an email to 5 people, a work colleague, a friend, and something else, and asking,
what are you good at?
Yeah, what are you good at? And it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it gives you a massive puff of your chest, because you're like, I thought I was not good at that. So for the people listening to this, it's like, that's a good, if you feel like you don't think you're good at anything, just send an email to 5 people that are closest to you and try and create that diversity in that 5 group, and you get the you get some pretty insights. And that's kind of my mantra, which I took out of those, or kind of my script that I read to myself is like, I am actually great at building relationships. I am a connector, and when you build that and you hear it from 5 people, it's pretty powerful. But as we both in the travel and experience space, it's interesting as, maybe this is a big comment, but live events, tourism, travel has been the biggest shakeup, I think, ever in regards to things just stop overnight for.
Absolutely.
And we're very grateful. I'm very grateful. I feel sorry for our friends out there that have got massive events, whether it's Comic-Con, Garib, Ted, these big guys that have got, and we're lucky we just do a
Summit, MMT,
yeah. So I take, how do you think that's, well, obviously we're part of some groups, but live experience, what's going to happen in 2021? Obviously this will pass, who knows how long, but it shall pass like any dark cloud or turbulence. Things are going to be connected virtually, and it's great that everyone's reaching out. Our good friend Greg, who was my number one on the 30 at 30, is that he's never had so many voice and Zoom. Poor Zoom, I think Zoom's behind coronavirus. Their shares are going like this. But what's teaching us right now to go into live experience? I feel like the small intimate experiences are going to go on hyperspeed in 2021.
Sure. So definitely, I feel that once things, once we pick up where we left off, I do believe that travel in 2021 is going to be through the roof. I know that a lot of events, for example, like Summit, they had Summit at Sea supposed to start in May. They've moved it all to 2021 now, and they're already working on the roster for next year's event. So even though it sucks that we won't be able to go this year in May, we now know next year's event is going to be even better. So I think a lot of event organizers are saying, hey guys, work with us. Not going to happen this year. We're postponing it a year, and we're going to make it an even better experience. So I think what's smart on their end is they're not in a position where they have to provide refunds. They're offering a credit, which will definitely help them stay afloat, because obviously if you had to start giving refunds back to all these ticket holders, it would possibly bankrupt your business. So I think that we're going to see definitely an explosion of events in 2021. I think attendance will be, at an all-time high. And I also think that this is showing many event organizers that they don't have to host events live. Like, I think if anything, this is going to cause event organizers to get more creative, and we're going to see a rise in virtual summits as well. I think we're going to see more events happen, not just live, but also virtual, and a diversity in that, because when you can bring in different speakers or different elements of performers through an online platform, you then have the opportunity to diversify your offering, which I think is quite exciting, because you could then participate in a summit that has speakers from different parts of the world all contributing on one platform. So I think it's interesting. I think it's definitely going to push the boundaries between now and when travel resumes. And I think it's going to create more opportunity, really.
Well,
I think it's all going to be a positive thing.
It's going to make wonder and discovery accessible from your computer.
Yeah.
And obviously that will give you a taste, because there are some people doing great virtual summits and that sort of thing, but it was bombarded with like, okay, upsell to this. Everyone knew that if they're on a virtual summit, there's something for sale at the end of it. Versus now, as you said, of being of service, like we're just trying to up level and be of service to people to get them to discover and whether it's pivot, transition, grow, evolve, take a step up, be better parents, be better in relationships. Now we actually have an opportunity, and everyone's kind of collaborating, which is pretty awesome. Is there one thing that you want to kind of leave with? Like, there's so much wisdom in this 30 minutes, and I'm just so grateful for our friendship, the work that you're doing. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Like, I know that our events clash this year, but I can't wait to get to Costa Rica. Like Zark does amazing experiences, and our good friend Greg was bringing his son down. Actually, Zark I want to finish on the power of introduction, because
all right.
The power of introduction is so powerful, because the domino effect of an introduction can truly be transformational and help evolve multiple people in the domino effect. So Sol
Sure.
introduced me to Zark. Zark introduced me to Sandro, who actually
Yeah.
lives 3 hours down the road. And I was having some
Okay.
pretty dark days, and breath work I hadn't dived into until Zark
Mm-hmm.
introduced me to Sandro,
Mm-hmm.
who I pretty much had a life-changing experience. I then introduced Zark
Beautiful.
to Dom, and Dom then met Zark. Like the power of introduction. How do you want to finish on with like the power of introduction and connection? Because far out, this is the time where we can do this stuff at hyper speed.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, to your point about connection, it's like, well, while we are self-isolated, we have the choice to either stay in our little cave or to join webinars, join group calls, discover, you know, so many amazing, brilliant people out there who are sharing, who are being of service and just giving away free knowledge, free information like you are right now. You are introducing your network to your community, which I think is so beautiful because, you know, there are people in New Zealand, people who are following you, who are going to watch this video, who have no clue who I am. They're going to learn a little bit about me. Maybe they're going to learn about Alive. Maybe I'll meet them on a trip one day. Who knows? You know, it's through us sharing and introducing our network and our community to our connections that allows us to all, you know, be unified. It allows us all to share our resources and help everybody up level. Because I mean, one of the most fulfilling things about being able to make an introduction, perfect example is someone like Sandro, who I think is just an absolute incredible human, is in that introduction to a fellow Kiwi, you had a life-altering experience with him that who knows what revelations, what impact that's going to have on your life over the next 10, 20, 30 years. And that's the power of introduction. And the result is deep connection that could have a profound difference. So I think right now, whether it be Greg, you, myself, Sandro, we are reaching out, we are connecting, we're sharing our gifts with the world. And it's just beautiful to see how we're all coming together. And like I said before, you know, if humanity can maintain this level of connection and compassion, then I believe this younger generation will be quite proud of us for what we've done and how we've been able to turn this this crazy world around. Yeah.
There we go, bringing the willing and the wise together to hey, I've got 5 kids, and why I'm doing these conversations is to be, my kids will be able to look back on my Facebook memories in 10 years time and go, what did dad do through this crisis? Well, he reached out.
Yeah.
So really setting an example for my kids. If anyone wants to check out Zark's work, obviously I'm posting everything and resharing. So right now we're a hub for Kiwis and Aussies down this part of the world, and just sharing amazing wisdom from who have helped me building bridges between countries virtually right now, and then after virtually we'll do live stuff. So thanks, Zark. I really appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and hope to see you down here in the land of Pura Vida very soon.
Cheers, bro.